Imagine someone disappearing without a trace, vanishing into thin air. Friends and family search for years, hoping for a sign, any clue that they are alive. And then, years later, they return, alive, unchanged. But how? Where were they? And why did they disappear in the first place? Tonight, we explore some of the most baffling and mysterious cases of people who vanished, only to reappear years later, leaving the world stunned and questioning reality itself. Part 1. Stephen Stainer, 1972 to 1980. In 1972, 7-year-old Stephen Stainer was walking home from school in Merced, California, when he vanished. His family searched endlessly. Flyers were posted, news stories ran, and police investigated every lead. But nothing. Stephen had simply disappeared. What the world didn't know was that Stephen was trapped in the hands of a dangerous man named Kenneth Parnell, who held him captive for 7 long years. During that time, Stephen was forced to live in isolation, endure abuse, and even care for another kidnapped boy. But he never gave up hope. In 1980, Stephen finally escaped. He ran to safety and returned home. The nation was stunned. How had a child survived 7 years in captivity? How did he keep his courage? Stephen's story became a powerful reminder of human resilience and the mysteries of survival that cannot be easily explained. Part 2. Jamie Kloss, 2018 to 2019. October 2018. 13-year-old Jamie Kloss from Wisconsin disappears after her parents are murdered in their home. The community is devastated. Posters go up. The police search endlessly, and the nation prays for her safe return. Days turn into weeks, and weeks into months. For 88 days, Jamie's whereabouts were a mystery. Then, in January 2019, she bravely escaped from her captor and ran to safety. Her courage inspired millions. But questions remained: how did she survive alone? How did she stay strong despite unimaginable trauma? Jamie's story shows that even in the darkest moments, hope can survive. It reminds us that sometimes people return not just by chance, but through extraordinary courage and determination. Part 3. The Sodder Children, 1945. On Christmas Eve, 1945, tragedy struck the Sodder family in West Virginia. A fire consumed their home. 5 of the children were never found. Most assumed the children had died in the flames. But strangely, no remains were ever discovered. Over the years, strange letters arrived, mysterious sightings were reported, and even decades later, some believed the children were still alive. The Sodder family never gave up hope. They kept searching, posting flyers, and asking questions that had no answers. Was this a kidnapping? Or something even stranger? The Sodder case remains one of the most puzzling disappearances in history. A story where hope and mystery continue to live side by side. Part 4. Frederick Valentich, 1978. In 1978, 20-year-old Australian pilot Frederick Valentich took off on a routine flight over the Bass Strait. But during the journey, he radioed air traffic control with a terrifying report. A strange aircraft was following him. Then, radio contact went silent. Frederick and his plane vanished without a trace. Some believe he was abducted by extraterrestrial beings. Others think it was a tragic accident. But no wreckage was ever found. Valentich's disappearance remains one of the most mysterious cases in aviation history. Part 5. Shirley Soffel, 1902. In 1902, Shirley Soffel, A young woman from England disappeared mysteriously. No one knew where she had gone. Years later, she was found living in a remote village, changed in appearance, and unable to explain her absence. Was it amnesia, trauma, or something deliberate? Shirley's story reminds us that sometimes disappearances are not just about danger or accidents. Sometimes people vanish by choice, or because their mind cannot handle reality. Part 6. Other strange disappearances and returns. There are countless other cases of people vanishing for years. Some survive in captivity, some disappear into the wilderness, and some even live under new identities. Some return with vivid stories of survival, while others claim they simply cannot remember what happened. These stories challenge our understanding of memory, survival, and human endurance. How can someone survive alone? Why do some returns while others remain lost? Every case is a puzzle that defies simple explanation. Part 7. The psychology behind long-term disappearances. When we hear about someone disappearing for years and then returning, it's natural to wonder, why? How could this happen? Psychologists and experts suggest that the human mind is far more complex than we often realize. Trauma, fear, or extreme stress can push. In some cases, people may suppress memories, consciously or unconsciously, as a way to cope with extreme events. Their minds might block out details of what happened, creating a kind of protective shield. They may forget where they went, who they met, or even why they left in the first place. Others may feel so unsafe that they take on entirely new identities, moving to a new place, living under a new name, or pretending to be someone else, just to survive. But not every disappearance can be explained by psychology alone. Some vanishings remain completely mysterious, defying logic, reason, and probability. People disappear from ordinary places without warning, and sometimes return years later with stories that are almost unbelievable. Their survival, their courage, and the strength of the human spirit leave everyone questioning what we thought was possible. These cases remind us that the human mind is both fragile and incredibly resilient. It can hide, protect, and adapt in ways we might never fully understand. And in the end, the return of someone who has disappeared for years is not just a story of survival. It is a story of the mind, the heart, and the mystery of life itself. Part 8. Lessons from these mysteries. Disappearances and miraculous returns are more than just strange stories. They are powerful lessons about life, hope, and the strength of the human spirit. Each case reminds us that life is fragile. In a single moment, everything can change. A child can vanish, a loved one can disappear, or a familiar world can turn into a nightmare. But these stories also show us something incredible. The human spirit is resilient. People survive against all odds. They endure hardship, trauma, and uncertainty, and somehow find a way to return. They show us that even in the darkest moments, hope can survive. It can guide us, protect us, and push us to keep going, even when everything seems lost. Every story, from kidnapped children to people lost in the wilderness, from pilots who vanish over the ocean to those who simply disappear without explanation, teaches us about courage, patience, and the power of never giving up. They remind us that survival is not just physical, but mental and emotional as well. And finally, these cases leave us with a profound question. How well do we understand the human mind? How far can our hope, determination, and resilience carry us in the face of the impossible? While the mysteries of disappearances may never be fully solved, the lessons they leave behind are timeless. Never lose hope, treasure every moment, and believe in the strength within yourself. Every story, from kidnapped children to pilots lost at sea, to those who simply vanished without explanation, shows that survival is sometimes possible against all odds. But they also leave us with haunting questions. Where were they? How did they survive? And why did they return when they did?